Welcome to the Barely Protestant YouTube channel. I am Father James, and this will be a bit of a short video. I wanted to give a book recommendation, but let me first talk about what's coming up. So this weekend is a fun weekend. I'm preaching at a church, not out of state, but a few hours away from where I live, and on Sunday, and then right after that, well, not right after, but in the evening that night is when the Richard Carrier debate has been rescheduled. So I've got two right there in a row, and just other things are happening in life, so it's been a bit busy. But I wanted to give a bit of a book recommendation. I try to do these every now and again. I'm a huge fan of C.S. Lewis, as anyone who has listened to me or knows me knows very well. Chronicles of Narnia was incredibly formative in my upbringing before I was even Anglican. When I found out he was Anglican, I had to learn more about it, and it just, yeah. So he's Lewis has been a great influence upon my life. As I grew older, I started reading other books from him: Mere Christianity, um, uh, Screwtape Letters, The Great Divorce, Grief Observed, Problem of Pain, Miracles, etc. And until recently, my favorite book from Lewis would have been The Great Divorce, which I think is still one of his best. I absolutely love it. However, I had been told for years that I need to read Till We Have Faces. And I thought, okay, I definitely will. I want to. I mean, I love Lewis. But they kept telling me that I would consider it to be my favorite. And I didn't believe them. I was like, it's hard to top The Great Divorce. Like, that one is a beautiful, beautiful book. And so I was like, okay, I'll read it, definitely, of course, and I'm sure I'll love it. And so I started reading it, and going through it, I was like, okay, this is a bit slow. It's not amazing. Uh, and by the end of it, I want to say about like the last few dozen pages or so, it became amazing. And it works very well that way. It's intentional in a sense. So, what is Till We Have Faces? Till We Have Faces is a retelling of the Cupid and Psyche myth. And if you don't know what that is, I definitely recommend you watch a short video on it. There are a few videos, or read one of the read the myth. It's something that sort of had been in Lewis's mind since he was an atheist, actually, and he had always wanted to retell it. So, in this story, it's focused upon the older sister of Psyche rather than on Psyche herself. And he gives the name Oral to the woman, to the sister. So within that, what happens is the book starts with from the first person's perspective, where Oral is the queen of Nome, I think is the name. Let me look at my notes. I think it's called Nome or Glome. Glome. That's right. Not Nome. And in which is a sort of city-state thing that's to the north or so of Greece. It's in Europe somewhere, but just to the north of it. Anyway, the book starts with her in her old age, very embittered and hateful towards the gods, and she explains, like, she's basically saying, I'm going to explain to you in this book why I hate the gods, how they've treated me so horribly. Now, some of the major things in the book are the question of what love is, beauty, what it means, like our interactions with the gods, and sort of in a Job-like way, questioning the gods or questioning God, obviously, because Lewis is a Christian. And it goes with her story all the way from before the birth of Psyche all the way to the end of the life of Oral. And sort of tells the story of just like her becoming queen, eventually taking the place of her father, who is the king. The father was not the best of kings, at least as a loving, not much of a loving father figure, but there are also moments where he's actually quite a good father in many ways too, or at least a good king. uh, some points. Anyway, uh, it becomes this story where throughout it you are on the side of Oral just about every step of the way. You completely agree with her on everything she's telling you, and then it's separated into sort of two books. And the first book, by the end of it, she has this amazing like paragraph, which I won't read just yet, but uh, it's a great paragraph, sort of her sort of final anger at the gods. And then she has an addendum, which is a few dozen pages, like I said before, where she sort of goes, "Well, a few things happened, and I need to go over some of these things again." Uh, and so part of the issue is that basically, and I'm trying not to be very much into spoilers or things like that, but this is, you don't read this really for spoilers, like for avoidance of spoilers. Psyche is taken away from her because, let me back up. Oral is considered ugly by the accounts of everyone. Everyone considers her ugly. She is the daughter of a king, and so just they consider her to have an ugly face. Her younger sister is born of a different mother, Psyche, and she is considered the most beautiful woman ever. And so Psyche and Oral actually become very good friends, and Oral is constantly talking about her love for Psyche and how she would do anything for Psyche and she would die for Psyche and all that sort of stuff. So eventually, what happens is, let me add also that Oral kind of is treating Psyche as like almost like like her own daughter kind of thing. So she's basically raising her in a sense. So what happens is, in the kingdom of Gloam, we are starting to see famines and bad crops and plagues and all sorts of stuff like that. Just a lot of just really bad things. And the local priest is saying, well, the gods are upset. And what you need to do is you need to deliver Psyche up to the mountains to the gods, so that they can have her. You need to sacrifice Psyche to the gods. So Oral is of course devastated about this, and so is Psyche. And Oral is trying to stop it from happening, but she ends up getting sick, and it happens without her being able to stop it or anything. And so she wasn't even able to go there and see her off or anything like that. So Oral then eventually visits to see if she can find the remains of Psyche or something like that. And instead, she finds Psyche actually living a very happy life. And she's in this, she is, quote, in, but to Oral, she can't see it, this mansion. But Oral's like, there's nothing there. And Psyche will be like, "Oh, taste this wine! Isn't this the greatest wine you've ever tasted?" And she'll put her hands in a small waterfall or a stream, and she'll give her hands to Oral, and it's just her hands. There's no goblet there or any wine. And so Oral is very concerned about this. She's like, "Wait a minute, you are being delusional right now." And then she starts talking about her husband. She's like, "Oh, I've been married. Uh, I'm not allowed to see his face. I only, we make love at night and all that sort of stuff. And but he's a wonderful husband, the best husband that one could ever hope for." And Oral is thinking, "My beloved sister here is delusional up in the mountains because of just the state of that. And some wild man has been having his way with her, basically." So, she leaves. She tries to have Psyche come back with her. She won't. Then later, Oral comes back, brings a knife with her, and basically is like, "Okay, I'm going to kill you and me if you don't come back and get rid of these delusions." Uh, Let me see. I'm going to read that section right now. Um, let's see. Maya is a nickname for Oral, which you'll see that as well. Um, so right now she just cuts herself, Oral, to show that she is meaning business. Uh, And Psyche is responding to that. Maya, said Psyche, what did you do that for? To show you I'm in earnest, girl. Listen, you have driven me to desperate courses. I give you your choice. Swear on this edge, with my blood still wet on it, that you will this very night do as I've commanded you. Or else I'll first kill you and then myself. Let me explain. I need to clarify that. She's saying you need to find out who this person you're sleeping with is. You've never seen his face. You need to bring a lantern and see who it is, because I promise you, once you find out, she's saying, it's not a god, it's some madman or thief or something that's living in the mountains. Oral, said she, said Psyche, very queen-like, raising her head. You might have spared that threat of killing me. All your power over me lies in the other. Then swear, girl, you never knew me break my word. The look in her face now was one I did not understand, Oral. I think a lover, I mean a man who loved, might look so on a woman who had been false to him. And at last she said, you are indeed teaching me about kinds of love I did not know. It is like looking into a deep pit. I am not sure whether I liked your kind better than hatred. Oh, Oral, to take my love for you because you know it goes down to my very roots and cannot be diminished by any other newer love, and then to make of it a tool, a weapon, a thing of policy and mastery, an instrument of torture. I begin to think I never knew you. Whatever comes after, something that was between us dies here. That was when I went from appreciating the book to absolutely loving it. Because what we are seeing and what Lewis is setting us up for at by the end of the book is the idea that Oral actually thinks that she loves Psyche, but Oral does not love Psyche. Oral is um, treating Psyche as a means to an end and not as an actual love, like sort of the Christ-like love. It's a very selfish love that Oral has. But you don't really recognize that. And again, as you're reading it, you're agreeing with Oral because she's not seeing this mansion. She's not seeing the goblet. She's not seeing all these other things that Psyche is showing that are invisible to everyone else. Although at one point you do see Oral does get a slight glimpse of the mansion or castle. So what ends up happening is she has her swear that she will go ahead and see uh, bring the lantern and see the face of her husband, and of course it actually is Cupid, which has a different name in the book. I think Ugnit or something like that. I have to look at my notes again. The son of Ungit, and Ungit is basically Venus, which is the mother of Cupid in the original one. So basically Psyche is married to Cupid, but it's Cupid's a god and she's a human. That's not allowed. But Lewis doesn't really go that direction in it. So what ends up happening is Psyche is lost, and you don't know exactly what happens to Psyche after that, but you see what happens with Oral's life after this decision is sort of haunting her. And one of the things that ends up happening in the book is at one point she ends up putting a veil over her face because she's so ashamed of her ugliness. And in part because of what she's done with Psyche, I would say, that she covers her face and lets no man see it for the rest of her life. So at the end of the first book, there's another line that I've quoted it multiple times. I think it's amazing. And it's one that you would think that someone who's a Christian wouldn't love, but it goes to that Job mentality. Job is one of the I'd say one of the least appreciated, most underappreciated books in the Bible. I would say that one in Ecclesiastes, like especially within the evangelical realm, you don't see enough of a push for the importance and greatness of Job and Ecclesiastes. You are allowed to have these questions. You are allowed to be like, these are problems. Like the Bible itself recognizes the problems of evil. So let's see, where is that passage beginning at? Dead air is not good. All right, here we go. So this is at the end of the first book, which is that much right here. And then this is the second book, that section. This is towards the end of her life, when you've seen all these great things that she's accomplished, what she's done with her life, and then what's happened with Psyche. This is oral, obviously her perspective again. Hey, Alan, by the way. I say the gods deal very unrightly with us, for they will neither, which would be best of all, go away and leave us to live our own short days to ourselves, nor will they show themselves openly and tell us what they would have us do, for that too would be endurable. But to hint and hover, to draw near us in dreams and oracles, or in a waking vision that vanishes as soon as seen, to be dead silent when we question them, and then glide back and whisper words we cannot understand in our ears when we most wish to be free of them, and to show to one what they hide from another. What is all this but cat and mouse play, blindman's blindman's buff, and mere jugglery? Why must holy places be dark places? I say, therefore, that there is no creature, toad, scorpion, or serpent so noxious to man as the gods. Let them answer my charge if they can. It may well be that instead of answering, they'll strike me mad or leprous or turn me into beast, bird, or tree. But will not all the world then know, and the gods will know it knows, that this is because they have no answer? It tears at the soul. I love it. It's this anger at the gods for what has happened to her, and her feeling like they deserve no love or respect. And then you get to the second book. And the second book is where it all sort of fits together. It becomes this beautiful understanding of re-looking at one's own life and saying, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why the gods or God allowed for that to happen. And it goes into all these different aspects of her life. And then it ends with a vision where she's given a chance to challenge the gods. And, well, you'll have to see what happens. But the final words also in the book are absolutely amazing. This is where she's, remember, the book starts with her being at the end of her life. So this is really, really at the end of her life. I ended my first book with the words, no answer. I know now, Lord, why you utter no answer. You are yourself the answer. Before your face, questions die away. What other answer would suffice? Only words, words, to be led out to battle against other words. Long did I hate you. Long did I fear you. I might. And then it ends with a little paragraph, which I think is also beautiful. But I won't read. So the thing I love about this is it shows two sides of a human struggling with questions of evil, shaking your hand angrily at the gods or at God, and then coming out the other side of that and realizing, oh, no, not just I don't have a right to challenge God, but I'm actually seeing God's love throughout all of this. And, oh, should I put that line out? You are now Psyche. That one, ooh, that gets me. You'll see how that works out in the book if you read it. You are now Psyche. Read it. This was a book that was written by C.S. Lewis with his wife, Joy Davidman, and it was written. I think I did a little bit of research. I think the same year that she found out she had cancer, and she died a few years later. Um, so there's just so many reasons why this book is amazing. I highly, highly, highly recommend you read it. Thank you for watching. This episode is a bit longer than I was wanting it to be. What are we at? 20 minutes, yeah. Don't forget, I have the debate with Dr. Richard Carrier. It won't be on my channel. It'll be on Godless Engineer and one other channel. I don't remember the other one. I'll try to remember to put links up or something. Uh, if you like this channel, go ahead, like, subscribe. I have a Patreon now, so go ahead and we've got a few patrons already. So go ahead and join the club. It's fun. We're having fun supporting me. But God bless you all. Hope you have a good night, day, or whatever time it is where you are at.